Welcome to the 2022 General Fund Budget, Levy, the Capital Improvement Funds budget, the Special Revenue Funds budget, the Enterprise Fund budgets, and the Fire Department JPA Fund budget update. So let's move on to our tax levy. As was indicated in our public input hearing, our levy is determined through the budget process. So in 2022, the property tax levy, including the debt levy and economic development levy, is a little over $5.1 million. The breakdown of the levy is the general levy, which is 71% of the total levy. These are the funds used to supply services to the residents. Is about 3.6 million. The property tax abatement is at 7,000. The debt service levy is 1.3 million, and the Big Lake Economic Development is 130,000 for an increase of 6.43%. So this chart represents the breakdown of the levy. So it gives our general levy, the specials. These are our property tax abatement and our GO bond abatements. And then our regular general debt, our Big Lake Economic Development. Again, the total city levy is the 5.134729, and our general fund budget is 5.7 million. Our city tax rate, again, which is calculated based on the total levy amounts needed, so this 5,134,729 divided by the city's net tax capacity for the year, and for 2022 it was about 9 million. Our tax rate is 48.6, which is decreasing by 1.21%. If we look at the levy through our concept year, again, the city realizes that every decision that is made today has an impact on future years. So for our 2023 through 2026 concept, the city is using for long-term planning a 3% growth in the city's tax capacity, and that beginning in 2023, the franchise fees will be allocated to our capital improvement funds for street maintenance, and that in 2026, as debt is paid off, that amount will be levied in our general levy and transferred to our capital improvement fund, so future projects can be paid in cash. However, remember, 2023 through 2026 are just projections used for long-term planning. So recapping our estimated property tax rates compared to 2021, the total local tax rate, so this is all of your entities, is going down by about 6.25%. And the allocation between authorities is similar in 2022 as it was in 2021. So 33 cents goes to the city, 38 to the school district, and 29 to Sherburne County. Now let's move on to our 2022 budgets. So where does the money come from? So remember, in order to balance the budget, the city has to levy a considerable amount of funds. So currently 61% is the property taxes. And this is consistent throughout the years. The city does budget $450,000 from the projected revenue from the liquor store. And these funds, again, are used to help support city services as well as future projects. And we always have to thank the residents and the patrons who visit the liquor store, because without that transfer, we'd more than likely have to increase the property tax levy. So for 2022, the proposed general fund revenue budget is $5.7 million. The significant increases, again, are the property taxes, because we're levying at a higher rate. And then we do have a decrease in charges for service. And this category takes into consideration additional services for fire inspection, which in the city, in the past, the city had budget for, but currently we're not moving towards a full-time fire position. What is the money spent on? Well, since the city's main objective is to provide services for those in the city, it's expected that the majority of the budget would be allocated to personnel. So for 2022, 63% is allocated towards personnel. Our total budget is increasing by 1.92%. And if you recall, the total expenditure budget is 5.7 million, which is the same as our revenue. So therefore, the city has a balanced budget and will not be using reserves. So what services are provided? So for 2022, 48% of our total budget will be allocated to our public safety, and this includes our police, our fire, and our building division, and these departments maintain the safety of our community. 17% is for general government. 16% is for our public works, which maintains the infrastructure of the community. 12 is for culture. This includes the parks and the library and community events. This promotes quality of life. We have 5% that are for transfer for future projects or equipment, and then 2 is for our EDA. So as shown in this chart, the allocations for 2022 general fund budgets are consistent with the prior year's budget, and then the concepts of 23 to 26 take into consideration the additional transfers to the capital improvement funds. The main reasons for our increases are: in personnel, we have a market rate increase to our pay scale of 3.2%. Step increases to employees with positive performance review that aren't at the top of our step plan, and increase in insurance and insurance rates. Election year is in 2022, so there's an increased cost for putting on the elections. Operation expense, there's an increased cost of general liability insurance, contract insurance, cost for maintenance, and also an increase in the rates for the charge to the city for the use of water and sewer. If we look based on this budget, the cost per day to provide city services, and this is based on our population of 11,685, it's $1.34. If we move on to our capital improvement plan summary for 2022 to 2026, so the city looks at all needs, including our enterprise funds and our debt payments that are due each year when planning what expenditures will actually be approved for each operating budget. For 2022, the total CIP plan is a little over $16 million, but this includes our enterprise funds and our debt service. And for our enterprise funds, we're taking into consideration if we have to do the water meters and any wells. If we look at our local government aid, because these are the funds from the state aid funds that are used for our capital improvement plan, the projections for 2022 through 2026, staff continues to plan for the future in a very conservative manner. For 2022, the LGA projected to receive a $771,000. And it's been allocated to current projects or future projects. However, we do not receive full payment. It's split half in July and half in December. And so that's why any one-time purchase over $50,000, we try to wait until December to purchase that item in the event the state holds the allocation. So if we look at our Big Lake Economic Development budget, they're levying $130,000, with the total budget being $128,781. Again, BLEDA will transfer $46,362 into our Industrial Park Fund 141, and this is to be applied for the special assessments, so the infrastructure that was done in our industrial park. This helps pay for that cost. If we would look at our farmers market, the farmer market has grown over the year and hopefully will continue to grow. For 2022, 5% of the recreational coordinator's wage and fringe is allocated to the farmers market, with a total expenditure budget at $12,000. If we look at our Music in the Park and our American Rescue Plan Act, this is the second year for the city will be operating the music in the park, and the goal is that the donations will support the program in full. For 2022, 5% of the recreational coordinator's wage and fringe is allocated to music in the park, with the total expenditures being $31,000. The American Rescue Plan Act was allocated from the federal government and will be used for the water meter replacement project. The total grant to be received is about $1.2 million and will hopefully cover the replacement project in full. Now, if we move on to our water fund, there's no proposed rate increase for 2022. This fund will have a budgeted loss of $902,000. This loss includes the depreciation expense of $996,000. and also as well as the proposed new infrastructure in County Road 43 of $350,000. The fund is projected to have a cash balance of $643,000, which is about 21% of the total budget for the year. Goal is to eventually have at least 25%. Without depreciation expense, but including the principal debt payment, this fund will still have a projected loss of $697,000. Approximately 9% of the depreciation is being covered by revenues earned. This fund is still budgeting our water access charge in the operating fund, so it's still included in here. However, eventually staff's goal is to budget those in the water CIP fund. And we're hoping as the new development and with the new water meters, then the true water use will be recorded, and that will allow us to actually be able to budget the WAC into the water CIP fund. For sewer, there is again no proposed rate increase for residential. This fund will have a budgeted loss of $249,000. This includes the $1.4 million of depreciation. Without depreciation expense, but including the general debt payment of $1.1 million, this fund is projected to have a net profit of $23,000, and around 82% of depreciation is being covered by the revenues. In addition, the fund does not budget for sewer access charges in the operating fund. Instead, those revenues are recorded in the sewer CIP fund for future expansion. For 2022, the SAC being budget in the sewer CIP is $343,000. It's a very conservative total. The projected ending cash is around 37% of the total expense. When we look at our storm sewer, with the proposed 2022 rates staying the same, this fund will have a budgeted loss of $237,000. This is including depreciation of $227,000. Without depreciation, this fund is still projected to have a loss of $10,000. This is due to the increase in cost, and there has been no rate increase for this fund at all. However, with the new growth, hopefully this fund will eventually break even. If the proposed 22 budget for the liquor stores includes the $450,000 transfer to the general fund, as well as a $35,000 transfer to the liquor store CIP fund, and has a projected net loss of $59,000. This loss includes depreciation of $73,000. Without depreciation expense, but including the debt payment of $79,000, this fund is projected to have a loss of $65,000. However, before the transfer, this fund is projected to have a net profit of $425,000. Gross profit is projected at 28%, and the net profit before transfers is at 8%, and this is pretty consistent with prior year's budget. Moving on, the market rate adjustment to the 2022 pay scale is a 3.2%. The master patrol based on the police contract is now a 2% and 4% increase to the individual that meets the requirements as stated in the contract. For the Big Lake Fire Department, the total amount that is budgeted in the general fund is $188,278 for fire protection service. This is an increase of $4,198 or 2%. The total fire department's budget is $449,000. For the Big Lake Fire Department JPAC Capital Improvement Fund, the city and the township must approve each purchase each year, and the cost is split 50-50. The city's portion is included in the city CIP fund. So we do have some future huge expenses coming up, but the city has been allocating a little bit each year to help offset these huge increases or huge purchases. For the fire department's market rate adjustment to their 2022 pay scale is a 2.5%. So a new recruit would be like at $12.61, and one of our long-term firefighters would be at $16.64. Again, for any additional information relating to Sherburne County assessors, relating to your property value, please contact Sherburne County assessors, because remember, they are the ones who determine your property value. You can call them at 763-765-4900. If you want information regarding your overall tax statement, please contact Sherburne County Auditor's Treasurer's Office at 763-765-4351. If you need any answers regarding the city's portion of the taxes or the city's budget, please contact myself. I can be reached at 763-251-2974. Again, the Finance Department wishes all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Questions on the 2022 levies or budgets, please reach out to myself. Thank you.